Happy Thursday, folks. Anthony Special here with Special Analysis, unedited and on the edge of the market. Welcome back for another edition. Today we're going to discuss the commodity market, and there's a particular ticker that I look at that really covers the commodity market as a whole. And the reason I do that is I can get great exposure without having to actually pick the commodity at the moment of which is or is not performing. So today we're going to talk about the DBC. We're going to dive into a little bit. There is a bit of weakness that is being exhibited. I do not believe it's trend changing, at least at this point. But for my shorter term traders or my risk averse traders, I want to share this with you simply because if you are able to dial this in on a tighter time frame than what I traditionally look at, it could be very useful. And that's why I take the time to share these with you. I would not, in fact, employ the setup I'm going to show you simply because there's way too much risk compared to the reward. But if we do get a little more of a weakness push, there is a downside target that I am looking at, and I want to share it with you in case any of you maybe have, are already short this or have owned some puts, on this particular ticker. I want you to have some thought process around it. So I'm going to open up the chart. We're going to dive right in. This is not going to be a long video today because this is rather simple, but we're going to cover it. So what you see in front of you is the DBC. This is the Invesco DB Commodity Index Tracking Fund. So you can see here's our COVID low. Commodities really shit the bed, for lack of a better term, and we've been trending up. Impulse, correction, impulse, correction. Impulse, correction, impulse, correction. Big impulse. And we've now consolidated. So this picture does not look too far off from, what the oil sector looks like, because that's really kind of led the way a little bit here. But everything is kind of broke a little bit. And I don't believe that the trend has changed in any fashion. I just believe that there is a correction coming. So as you can see, like I just showed you, impulse correction, consolidation, impulse correction. This was Omicron. So as things occur, throughout the period of a trend, it is what it is. That's how life happens. That's how the market happens. It's our job as traders and investors to identify it, to know either it's time to bail on something or if there's an opportunity that we can make some money. So what's happening here is essentially this. We have broken below this orange channel structure. You can see support, 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 support. So we have closed below that by a significant percentage. The way we measure from the structure to the close. You've got about 3.25% roughly, 3.3%. So that tells us the likeliness is this is going to find support below before it goes higher, which would not be uncommon. Again, we saw this, it happened here. So, we had a big impulse up, we had a correction, we found support. So we've had a big impulse up, we are experiencing some kind of correction, we may find support in this ascending teal channel. Could we go lower? Of course. But that's the initial target. That's what we're concentrated on. So anyone who is short the DBC or owns puts on the DBC, for this upcoming week, I am looking at a target of 26.5. Now, keep in mind, am I suggesting you to sell this and put this stop in place here? Absolutely not. I mean, we're only talking about a 4% gain, with a 11% risk. That's ludicrous. There's almost 3 times the risk compared to the reward. We don't trade like that. That's just not smart. But I'm showing you this simply, A, as an example, but B, if somebody has already shorted this, for whatever the reason was, maybe they shorted it on this break, I don't know. My thought process is somewhere in this 26.5 area is likely where we should find some new support, and I would imagine that we see impulse, some form of correction, and then we can potentially then impulse higher. Is it going to take a little bit of time? Yes. Could this break lower? Also yes. If we break below the teal line, we have the blue structure. Break below the blue structure, we have the original channel. We break below that, there's plenty of downside here. I just don't believe that we're done. The reason I don't believe we're done is the energy situation. That hasn't changed. In fact, it's gotten worse instead of better. The food supply situation, that hasn't changed. In fact, it's gotten worse. Ukraine is a huge supplier of wheat and corn to the global marketplace. Well, I would imagine that if they're in the midst of being invaded, that most farmers are not tending to their crop as they should. So if they're not taking care of the crops planted, they're also not harvesting. If they're not harvesting, they're not replanting for next season. So we could see, a multi-year disruption in corn and wheat. Those prices go higher, compounded with the energy situation, which, in my opinion, and most would agree that that's more man-made of a crisis. This should in fact grind higher. So I'm not interested in buying support. I'm just simply telling you that if you have decided to short this at some point in time, this setup is viable. I would not take this again because there's almost 3 times the amount of risk compared to the reward. But this is in fact a counter trend style setup. And I wanted to show it to you, and I wanted to also show you why we shy away from these on the time frame that we set it up in. For somebody who is much shorter term, somebody who's literally buying a put to hold it a day or 2 or maybe 3, or somebody who's employing an intraday style of trading, this is valuable information for you. Or somebody who's looking to hold it for a day or 2, or whatever your short term goals are, this is viable. If you have goals that I have set forth, like myself, that I want to get in something, I'm in it for a couple days, potentially a couple weeks, and then I'm out of it, this is not the setup for you. But I wanted to share it with you anyway so that you kind of had my thought process on the commodity market as a whole and also what I'm looking at. This DBC is something I follow fairly often. I do check it, week to week. It's not a bad idea to keep an eye on it if you're interested, in a broad commodity market asset. So with that, guys, as always, I appreciate your time. Thank you for being here with me. I'm glad you're able to make it, and I'm humbled that you've taken the time out of your day. I hope you learned something. I hope this gives you a little bit of insight if you are, in fact, looking at the commodity market in any fashion. So with that, I appreciate you. Thank you. If you could do me a simple favor, that's below the video. Like, share, and subscribe so others can find this information and learn from it as well. It would be greatly appreciated as I continue to do this 100% for free. So thank you again, and I look forward to speaking with you tomorrow.